up, everyone? It's Eric Vessels with What They Think. Welcome back to another edition of What's Up with What They Think. And today we're continuing a small series of What's Up with the Leading Print Summit. Leading Print Summit is an AP Tech event, also What They Think event, What They Think being part of AP Tech now. That's happening in Chicago, June 14th and 15th in Rosemont, Illinois, actually. Chicago, close enough. And I've got with me Gary Laney, who is the CEO of Success Masters. Gary, welcome.
Hey, thank you so very much, Eric. Nice to be here with you.
So, Gary, you are doing a session at the Leading Print Summit. And the session basically is titled Influential Leadership, the Top 10 Competitive Competencies. So maybe obviously, we don't want to give everybody the top 10 because we want them to come to Leading Print Summit and find those out. But maybe a flavor of why it's important for leaders. And we're probably going to have leaders from vendor companies who are selling equipment into the printing industry, as well as CEOs and owners of actual print shops. Why is it important that they know what the top 10 competitive competencies are?
Let me give you a little background how the competencies came about in the first place. So my background, I've been a sales leader. I've been a VP of sales many times in the high-tech industry. I also was a VP of sales in the commercial print industry. So that was really my first career. So I'm excited to be able to relate to some of the people that I'll be meeting at the conference and the summit. Right. I was mentored years ago by a guy named Stephen R. Covey, who wrote the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So most people have heard of that book. It's back
also
in the 80s, 90s, early part of the millennia. Really very, very, very popular in every kind of business leadership kind of survey and forum. But over the years, I've taken those principles, I've taught them 35 plus years and extended them and developed what I believe more applicable kind of approaches to using those principles, which were philosophical, I think. I think Stephen Covey would be happy with the way I created a book today called The Power of Strategic Influence. So number one, first and foremost, any leader, and everybody relates to this that owns a business or has been in leadership at some point, understand that in order for you to be able to be effective, you have to bring value to the table. You have to be able to be in front of people and show that you have the wares, the withal, and the knowledge and experience, really, to show that you know what you're talking about, how to lead them to something that's a successful end result. When I was writing my book, I decided to stop the process after the first chapter because I wanted to be able to see if I was current in my thinking, even though I've been teaching for 35 years. And so I did a survey of hundreds of business leaders throughout the U.S. Since then, I've continued that survey worldwide and have surveyed over 1,000 leaders. Some of the principles I was looking for is for them to help me define what influence is. Number two, what kind of principles, traits, and competencies is required to be effective as a leader. Now, as you can imagine, there are many dozens of characteristics and traits that came out of that survey. But I decided to take the top 10 and feature those in my book, my first book. I'm also writing a new book that really focuses on the leadership competencies in itself, which I call Leadership Mastery. So without going through the entire list, I'll just give you a flavor of a few of those. One of those is integrity, being integrity focused. So, a leader that doesn't have integrity, that doesn't come across as authentic and have the ability to be able to say things and do what they say they're going to do is going to lose credibility really quickly in that leadership role. In fact, one of the things I teach, and it's something that was taught to me early years ago, is that you don't really become a leader by defining and declaring that you're a leader. You don't become influential because you say, I'm influential and I have a lot of followers, so you should follow me. You become influential and a leader because people see you, like you, relate to you, believe in you, and follow you. And they're the ones that say, you're influential. You have the ability to influence and inspire and help the rest of us because of the things you say and do. So integrity is just one of those principles. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's interesting to me because I just actually posted something on LinkedIn yesterday. It's around branding, but it's very similar, and it's something that I continue to sort of harp on in my career as an entrepreneur and someone that's been in sales and marketing, and that is branding is not what you say, it's what you do. And I find it interesting that there's a parallel there, because basically what you're saying is leadership is not what you say or who you are, it's what you do.
Yeah, it's really the role model you provide to other people, and a leader. So they have this new concept called servant leadership.
Mm-hmm.
It means you lead from behind. It means you teach people how to lead, how to do their job, and then you support them. You don't force them, compel them, or try to, drive the plan top down. It's really bottom up. I've managed over 2,000 sales support professional salespeople, and what we always did that was effective, at least in my model, is that we would get together, we would take all of our plans individually, everybody would make their own plan, and then we would put them together in an integrated way that made sense, and then roll it up to the top, so that we all felt like the goals that we made were actually reachable, approachable, and that we could do it as a team, not me, the leader, saying hit your quota or you're out. I
Yeah,
mean, some organizations have to do that. They're public companies. They have to weed out the non-performers. But our idea and my idea was to let the team be collaborative in the plan and help them, take some ownership of it, because that way they'll be much more, I think, motivated to do a good job.
for sure. Yeah, that collaborative mindset is something that we've tried to foster at What They Think as well. And I think, by doing that, by having them own, we have something that we call manager of one. And basically it's like you own what you do, and there's not a whole lot of micromanaging around it. But that said, it's still got to interface with what everybody else is doing. And that said, there are still leaders, like, right, like if there's a final decision to be made, that might be, myself, like what are we going to do? um, but yeah, I love that. It seems to me like that's almost the only way you would get buy-in, is if you allow that each of those people who are responsible for that thing to come up with that thing. Seems
Yeah, well,
logical.
it's so true, Eric. I've been in organizations, however, where what the boss says is the way it's going to be, and
Right.
there's no interpretation, there's no definition. It's defined in one way, and everybody rolls out, and there's a lot of attrition in organizations like that. Really,
Yeah, because that's you're essentially entering a world of, if you like it, fine. If you don't, leave, and
yeah, yeah.
hence the leave, right? The attrition.
Well, today we have this thing called the Great Resignation going on, and it's an interesting concept because people want to be involved. They want to be included. So that inclusive factor isn't that we're just letting everybody and anybody define, some loose plan. I think we're taking good ideas, we're putting them together and giving credit to the people that made those suggestions, and then
Yeah,
we make progress, and again we give credit back. The leader is the leader that is really defined as the influencer, is the person that says nobody recognizes that I did anything.
right.
I'm really the person that was sitting in the background, guiding, directing, facilitating. But I'm so happy that my team, did what they did, because I allowed them to do what they could do best.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's and I feel like that's, given today's climate, just with sort of how we've evolved in our workplace, in our society, it's going to become more and more important that we find those empowering ways of leading teams, and kind of abandon some of the old stuff that worked. Because I mean, I,
Yeah.
my opinion, the way I see it, a lot of that came out of the manufacturing sector, which I worked in for a long time. It's left over from that, where this job had to be done exactly like this, or the whole thing would break down.
Well,
But
that,
those models don't necessarily work in different environments, like especially in, if you want to have like an entrepreneurial type environment where people are acting really quickly, and decisions are being made fast. Well, Gary, that's fascinating. I look forward to seeing you in Chicago again. Leading Print Summit, um, in Chicago, June 14th and 15th. You can find more information at leadingprint.org, specifically leadingprint.org/summit. But if you just go to leadingprint.org, there's like a button you can register. We hope to see as many people there. There's going to be a lot of really engaging and smart people like Gary that are going to be, helping to inspire and engage, and leave you with something that you can improve your business when you go back to it. And also great networking. And I mean, if there's a bar there, I'll be there mixing up something or having a cocktail. Look forward to sharing it. Gary, thanks for spending some time talking about what you're going to talk about at Leading Print, and we'll see you there in Chicago next month.
Look forward to it. I'll be there on the 15th. Look forward to meeting
Thanks,
you in
man.
person. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks.
Bye.